Hello, you're listening to Trysteropod episode 14. I'm David Kulma, the other guy is Dorian Wallace. And today is Tuesday, March 24th, 2020. Dorian and I are composers and leftists, and we talk about music and politics. So how's it going today, Dorian?
Well, we are in the midst of COVID-19. It's been a pretty wild experience for any of those who find this in the future. This is one of the most surreal experiences I've ever gone through. How about you, David?
Oh yeah, well, it's I sit at home all day and I do what I want mostly. I mean, I'm in the middle of quote spring break, so it's not like I have to do work.
Right.
So I've been getting back to doing Music Corner videos as my music educational channel. I've been doing live streams of me analyzing a piece of music every day or so.
Oh, cool.
So, you and I, we attempted to improvise simultaneously on Facebook live stream while listening to each other's live stream, which was a really strange thing.
Yeah.
Because it's at such a long delay, and then you're getting yourself back through the delay. It sounded really cool. I just was kind of overloading my computer a little bit.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, I was definitely getting the like, you'd improvise something, and then your improvisation would come back, but it would have the other person's improv over top of it.
Right.
Yeah, it was super cool.
And the thing was that then it would come back again with two more things on top of it.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. But for those of you in the outside world, today's the day when Donald Trump said, "Hey, we could open up the economy again in a couple of weeks because this is not the economy is more important than people being alive." Yeah, so that's we're dealing with sociopaths.
Yeah.
And they run the government because that's the way this works. And are you telling me that capitalism creates a situation where the most mind-numbingly evil among us are the people who gain power because they're the ones who have the ambition to do so and will say and do anything to get into power? It's like people told us this would happen.
Right.
No.
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a fucking shit show. I mean,
right.
it's a weird mix because there's a lot of positive things happening in the world.
Right.
Like a lot of people are connecting together. I don't know if you saw that new Music Solidarity Fund.
I did. So they've created a fund to help people in our specific community of musicians to be able to survive monetarily.
Yeah, and it's it's for any group that is had a concert canceled or had funding canceled due to this experience. It's also just things like there have been a lot of live stream concerts. I've been doing a lot of Instagram dance classes, which has been really fun. On the bad side of it, there is a horrifying pandemic happening around us, and people are dying.
Yeah.
So it's a complicated thing. Especially for like social media users who use humor for coping and for community, to not cross that like gross line, because there's basically two realms that I personally would not ever want to cross. The first one is insulting or offending people who are being directly affected by this, or exploiting exploiting the situation. And then the other one is not accidentally putting misinformation out there so idiots believe it. Because, yeah, there was a guy I went to high school with. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna just pull up his account right now. He posted this. Yeah, apparently I showed my wife this post yesterday. Oh wow, he put in a new one. Corona versus God. Don't skip without saying God save me and my family. Okay. Anyways, last night he actually put, you guys think this lockdown is going to stop everyone? Well, guess what? It ain't going to stop me from doing what I want. I live in the land of the free and the home of the brave, and I'm going to be free and not let anyone control me on doing what I do. I'm grown and don't have a boss no more.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not kidding.
The guy who talked like that during the Oregon standoff when they took over that building years ago.
Oh, the Bundys.
The Bundys. The guy who talked like that was the one who got shot dead by the police.
Yeah.
He told them to shoot him, and so they did.
Yeah. No, but it is actually nice. I'm just kind of looking. There's a lot of people who are commenting that I went to high school with. Like, somebody just put, "Thanks for being one of the dicks spreading the problem, idiot."
There you go.
Yeah. All right.
Well, that's the thing about this is that so much of this is a social crisis because it's about the fact that Dorian, you and I are perfectly fine right now, but it's the fact that if we go outside and we interact with people in the way that we're used to, the possibility that we could then meet someone else during the day and give them a disease that might kill them in the next 2 or 3 days or week. That's totally outside of normal experience.
Yeah.
I mean, so far outside of it that the idea that for some people, the idea that I have to change my daily behavior to the point that, like, should I even touch a doorknob? And if I do, the next thing I have to do is wash my hands.
Right.
I mean, it's so ludicrous as to be unbelievable. And especially if the people that you trust in public life that are the famous people that you trust, like the president or something, and they're saying that this isn't something you should worry about too much, or it's, you should be fine, right? That's just crazy because there are people our age and younger who are going through horrible illness right now because of this. And some of them are dying. Yeah. And it's like the idea that it's like, well, I'm just going to do what I'm going to do, motherfucker. It's just like that is like the most antisocial thing you can do at this point. And the most social thing you can do in a certain sense is sit in your house and interact with no one. Like live. Yeah. I mean, so that's a complete backwards way of thinking about all this. So I'm not surprised that people are not willing to trust it, because it does really require you to trust scientists.
Oh yeah.
And how many people actually trust scientists in this country?
Yeah. Well, I will say that this person is also an active climate designer.
Climate designer, I like that.
Designer, yeah. Well, no. I mixed the two things I was going to say. He's an active climate change denier and an intelligent design, like, anti-evolution person. So. Oh, nice.
It's the 1-2 punch there, yeah. Yeah. Right? Is he yet a flat earther?
I don't know. He hasn't publicly posted.
Does he really pay close attention to QAnon?
I am sure he does. He also has a lot of guns.
Is he worried about the frogs being turned gay by the water?
I think he probably is. No, all right, dude. I will say, like, Alex Jones has basically been banned off the internet. Yeah. And I'm saying this just more for curiosity's sake. I do miss him, like, during this time period, because I bet he is, like, going nuts right now.
Oh, sure. Well, yeah. Well, how the hell is he going to get all of his nutritional supplements sold? Yeah. all of his man juice or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Themselves, right? It's like,
dude.
Because he's all about, well, I need to be in nature. We gotta do all these things that make me feel like a man. It's like, whatever. It's a little horseshit. So you like my Alex Jones impression?
It's a good one. Yeah. Actually, Brett Payne from Street Fight Radio, he has almost a spot on Alex Jones.
Oh my god.
Because apparently he grew up listening to that. So,
oh my god, really?
Yeah. It was like one of his favorite shows in the 90s.
Oh my god.
Early 2000s, yeah.
Oh my god, he's been doing that for 20 years? That's
yeah, he has.
I'm thinking of Alex Jones doing that for 20 years. That's the thing that frightens me. But someone watching... I mean, that reminds me when I was a kid, the local sports talk radio in Cleveland, WTAM,
I think I know
which is still there. They would have the local morning sports show, so people in my family would listen to it. And I remember listening to it we would have a shower radio, so I would listen to it in the shower early in the morning.
Yeah.
And the thing is, by the middle of the day, they're playing Glenn Beck. So I remember listening to Glenn Beck and screaming at the radio as a kid, And it's just like, what a horrible load of horseshit that was. And I think they'd also play, they probably do Rush Limbaugh too. So it's just like, ugh.
Did you ever hear Dr. Laura Schlesinger or whatever her name is?
Yes, Dr. Laura, yeah. I remember.
That was a regular one that we used to
hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you like some backwards advice and someone to shout at you for being bad?
Right.
Yeah. There you go.
Well,
anyway.
So the angle I thought you were gonna go was, did you ever listen to Art Bell?
Oh, yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah. Art Bell, he was almost... he was a conspiracy theorist, I think. I used to listen to his show because he had a late night... Art Bell's Dark Matter. No, that's his new nightly show, I guess.
Well,
Coast
I'm
to
looking
Coast
on...
was it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Coast
probably.
to Coast AM. But yeah, he used to talk about extraterrestrials and aliens and all of that, and man, I used to fucking love that shit.
My goodness, wow.
Yeah, that was my jam.
No, I don't know if it was on the same station, but yeah. I remember this guy's name, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I was too young to really realize how wild it was, but yeah, I don't know.
Well,
Alex Jones always seemed like sort of the same category.
Right, I mean, Alex Jones is that particular kind of talk radio shock jock. Amped up and way more conspiratorial.
Right.
Because, just think about the things that happened in the 1990s and what they would do to a conspiratorial mind. So, Waco.
Oh, yeah.
The Oklahoma City bombing.
Which was directly related to Waco.
Right. And even the O.J. Simpson trial. So if you're a white person in America, the fact that he didn't get, that he was not convicted makes you more conspiratorial. If you're already thinking along those mindset, right? And then
Fox News started in 1996.
Right. So it's all of this. So there was this whole thing of, then it's just this is when Hillary Clinton used the phrase "the vast right-wing conspiracy." And that just fed further into that kind of thing.
The Monica Lewinsky scandal.
Right. All this. So those things that were happening back then were just like catnip to a certain kind of psychopath.
Yeah.
But here's the deal: is that
Jesus.
But some of these things are not. Some of them are like conspiracy theory things, right? We use the phrase conspiracy theory to describe a series of events or a thing that happens that the explanation you reach for is ludicrous and not what happened, right? And it requires this vast series of things to go just the exact right way, and that's not what happened. But the idea that there are real conspiracies isn't an insane thing, because all you have to do is pay attention to the news closely enough and read page 23 of the A section of the New York Times.
Right.
And then you learn that, for instance, recently, that all those people that we've brought criminal charges against related to the Russiagate stuff, that those aren't going to go on. They decided to. Some of those claims are being let go. So meaning all the the GRE, the I don't remember the number of people that were the hacker people doing stuff on Twitter or whatever. There were a bunch of it was 17 or 23. I can't even remember the number. I'm just throwing out prime numbers, by the way. That those people are not being charged with the thing that they would have to do in a criminal court, because they don't want to have to. They don't want to have to prove it.
Yeah.
And probably means because they can't prove it up to the level of what would be required by. Which means that why were you charging them in the first place? And then that leads your brain to go, oh wait, that means that this whole Russiagate thing was a complete horseshit crock-up bowl of crap.
Right. Well, dude, just even thinking this way, you've got all the shit in the 90s, and even just the fact that the media, X-Files was a thing, and the Matrix was a movie in that time. There's just that all that stuff is in the air to not trust the authorities, not trust what you're being told.
Fuck you! I won't do it. You tell me.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and then it all fucking builds up, and September 11th happens, the very first year of the next decade.
Right.
So yeah, that.
So it just means that your average conspiracy theory kind of person isn't crazy because they believe in conspiracy theories. Mm-hmm. They're crazy because they believe in all of them.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, it's. Because this thing is, conspiracies are real. It just, how they operate and what they go is not close to anything what all the people with most of the conspiracy theories actually are. So it's but every once in a while there are ones where it's hey, that stuff that black people have been saying for a long time? Yeah, this guy said it's oh yeah, we did it for that reason they've been saying. The whole thing about why did they criminalize marijuana and heroin?
Right.
The guy who worked for the Nixon in 1993 in an interview said, "Oh yeah, well it was because we wanted to ruin lives of hippies and black people," and it's oh okay,
and the entire COINTELPRO,
right? Oh yeah, the whole thing, right? And no one ever, you never said no one actually gives a shit about that, which is terrifying to me. I had to wait so long to learn about what that was. The whole idea that was it the FBI? Or was it the CIA?
That was the FBI.
Yeah, they're literally just attacking left-wing groups and other people to destroy their organizations in order to help the federal government. And so they would infiltrate these groups, and they would do all of these methods of just, and it's just sitting here waiting for the next time. So it means that when you enter really radical left-wing or right-wing spaces, you have everybody's has their head turned over their shoulder because they know for a fact, based on actual historical record, that the government infiltrates these places.
Right.
So it means that there's likely a spook in the room. And you don't know who they are.
Right.
So, I mean, that's the thing is, you can literally go online. I remember, reading, a document about how you do this, how you destroy meetings. Mm-hmm. And you basically just do what people do in academic settings, which is you just, it's there's literally stuff you can look up about how the techniques they use to destroy all of these kind of stuff. So, anyway, in the end, I never really, that's why I never really feel bad about people who get taken in by conspiracy theories.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's not very much to trust in this world.
Well, the thing I always kind of say about conspiracy theorists is it's like I really love where your heart is.
Right, but
your heart's in the right spot. It's just your deduction skills.
Right. Well, but it really does. Most of them really do require an extreme amount of malice from a lot of people who really don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are malicious people who are making decisions. They're like, yes, we want to fuck over those people and those people and those people.
Right.
But a lot of these things, a lot of the ways that any of this kind of stuff happens when it's actually the actual things causing those kind of things to happen are, well, it's because the money tends to go here, and it means that the people who tend to be in these organizations tend to think this way, because if you thought a different way than this, they wouldn't hire you, or if they did hire you, they would fire you after you did that thing. So it means that this group of people have this way of thinking about this, so it means that they don't pay attention to this, which means that you, with those particular interests, get ignored and your lives don't matter to them because it's literally just not on their radar.
Yeah.
Is that malice? No. Is it like murderous ignorance? Sometimes.
Yeah, it can be.
But it really is just it's basically. It's so much easier to use Chomsky's frame around the way manufacturing consent works
Mm-hmm.
than it is to try to explain something as a conspiracy.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it just his entire propaganda model. It's around how normal people end up doing these things without even realizing they're doing it.
Right.
Or just weighing pros and cons, well, this is what really needs to happen, but yeah, but it's when it's all stacked together, and you're just, dude, it's so mind blowing, just how oftentimes, just having average conversations, with everyday people, how there's very little historical thought on where we are in this very present moment, and has this happened in the past, and will this happen again, or could something like this happen again? And the answer is usually yes.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, think about it. We're going. The economy is tanking, and the economy is tanking because our society is based on everyone being some sort of service worker.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we've shut down most services, because that's humans interacting is the way that all of us are going to die, or the people who are going to die who get coronavirus, part of the reason this happens is because of human contact. It means that, literally our economy is dying because we make so few of our workers work in manufacturing or production. I mean, they work in, so it's they work in food service. They work at, they're workers like us that are gig workers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I'm lucky in that I have an academic gig right now that lasts long enough that it's going to last me through mid-June.
Right.
And that money is pretty much guaranteed in my pocket, and I can do my work from home. But, it's... all of these sort of things is when you build an economy on gig working and then you say, oh, sorry, can't have any gigs. Of course the economy's going to tank.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's and the solution isn't let's all go do the gigs again. The solution is to give us all money.
Right.
I mean,
the solution is to get rid of money, but...
Right, of course. Yes, thank you. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. Right. Yes, the solution is that money shouldn't exist. The solution is that the best option is that... I think about this sometimes. It's just how is it that the things that I want to do with my time are things that our world refuses to just let me exist to do?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's because it's not like I'm doing antisocial things. I'm trying to teach people about music and talk to people about music.
Dude,
in a way that they generally tend not to want to do.
We had like a 30-second lagged virtual jam session.
Yeah.
And that was like we were talking before this, but like I was fucking elevated after that. And I mean, like I like that happens when music happens, but you also just don't make money. Like
No.
Doing music.
Right. Well, that's the thing is like, so it's all set up around this shit that like for some reason the things that we do should somehow make money, and since they don't make money, they're not worth doing.
Right.
Whereas it would make a whole shit ton more sense if our society was organized around the idea that, hey, let's just make it so that everybody can live, and so that the things that you and I know how to do really well, better than most humans on the planet, to be honest. They're not necessarily the exact same things, but they overlap.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that we would then just do those things and help other people do them, and help other people with similar interests want to do other things that are related, like that would just happen.
There was
and now we can't do them. That we're not allowed to do them.
Right. There was an anthropology course that I took in college, where one of the books we read, it was about an anthropologist who lived with a pygmy tribe, and it got a big discussion on the concept of poverty and how the pygmies technically do not have any home. They don't have any job. Like they don't work.
Right.
But they're not poverty class because it's like by instilling like the civilization that we live into, we create a poverty class.
Right.
That
it's the thing that Graeber would talk about with his stuff in Madagascar is like, well, in that society, everyone just acts like a king.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh well, as soon as you remove all of these bullshit impediments that we've created, right, everyone can just act like they're a king.
Well, like Amanda Gukin, she's a badass cellist that she was in the Public Quartet. She just did a live stream cooking show on Instagram, and she was making the point that like we have this thing where it's like, well, if you're not making money doing the thing you're good at, or if you haven't specialized in something, then you shouldn't be doing it, or those sorts of things. And how it's almost like this sort we'll call it a societal collapse like that we're going through right now.
Sure.
It's like it gave her the like courage to be like, fuck, like I've been cooking since however long, and like I'm gonna do a cooking show because I love doing it. And it's it's like it's just one of those things, like we have these labels of like like who is a defined cook or a chef,
right.
Like why isn't she allowed to do cooking at a high level publicly, because she's a cellist.
Yeah. Right.
And,
well, it's the idea that we're not, like, I'm sure that you agree with me, is that everybody should be a composer.
Yeah, I do.
I mean, like, just everyone should make music to whatever degree or amount they want. Mm-hmm. And you can call yourself a composer for doing so. Mm-hmm. And I just think life would be better that way. I mean, Kyle Gann has this idea that people resent the creative classes because they're the one group of people that get to do the things they like for the way they make money. So the ones who actually succeed in it. So that your average person outside of that group of people, like if you go off into some like rural area where people tend to be Republican, they resent all of those people. Mm-hmm. Because they're the people who get to do something fun. Mm-hmm. But there's also the fact that they also know that their children will never get to become one of them. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that's the major thing, is that we've professionalized everything to the point that the only people who get to do fun things are in a very small class of people. Mm-hmm. And they get to hoard all of the resources and all the fun things to do. And then in any profession, there's always this soup of people around them who sort of get by or don't really, or are slowly attempting to get into it. And most of those people fail or basically just slide through for their entire life and are not able to take care of, major things. And it just means that most people are blocked out of being able to do much of anything that they like. Mm-hmm. I mean, and I don't know about you, but that's a pretty fucking terrible way to run a society.
Yeah, it is.
But this I was also reading recently about the. Apparently, there was like some slave uprisings in Jamaica in the late 1700s.
Okay.
And it just sort of, I mean, how different is our, like there are major ways in which our society is different than a slave society. Although we do still have slavery in various ways, I won't get on my soapbox about that right now. But I mean, how many ways is it different? I mean, there are a couple of obvious ones, right? I mean, like we're not in bondage. Like the class of people, like there aren't a class of people that are like literally whipped all the time,
right?
Outside of prisons and like sex slaves and people in Southeast Asia
and
who make clothes,
lower income housing,
right? Yeah, well, just like well, but there's a meaningful distinction between being a poor person who's living hand to mouth and sleeps in their car and can't take care of their family and is a drug addict or any of those kind of things. I mean, there's a set of things that happen. And there are ways in which they are more free than a slave would be 200 years ago. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But how much better is that? Is that better enough? I mean, it's still suffering.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason that people in the 19th century referred to what was generally, not setting aside the people who were actually chattel slaves, how many people, there was a reason they referred to people who had jobs, like who worked for somebody else, that they referred to that as wage slavery. Mm-hmm. I mean, so I tend not to try to use that term just because they think that if... it doesn't matter why I don't, but at this point. But it's just this... in a certain sense, Dorian, we live in the hell that the communists and socialists of the 19th century said would happen if the society kept going in the direction it was going, right? We don't want to be wage slaves.
Right.
Well, guess what? The society we live in right now is a version of that.
Yeah.
I mean, in some ways it's worse because some of us don't get wages.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like, can you imagine being in a society, like this is the thing is, can you imagine being in a society where getting wages is better, is the thing you're aiming for? Guess what? That's the one we live in.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, but the whole idea of the society in the 19th century is that white males would, once they were done being an apprentice, they were an owner. They owned their business. They owned what they did. They ran their own thing. And no one told them what to do. That was the goal to being a property owner or a person in society, an adult. In our current society, almost no one gets to do that.
Yeah. I think it's a 6% chance.
Right. So since nobody can be... So basically, we live in a society where there are almost no adults. Mm-hmm. And the people who are adults are sociopaths who require the rest of us to not be adults.
Jesus Christ.
Because here's the deal. It's like... Because if we had a good society, Dorian, would you and I be sitting here making a podcast?
I mean...
Not about this.
Not about this, but yes, but it's just like we would do this, but not this.
Not this, right?
Yeah.
Right. We'd be talking about, I don't know, the next project we want to do, an opera to make.
Yeah.
Right. Not the fact that Not the fact that we're sitting here in the middle of a crisis and the government is trying to decide how to best bail out gigantic businesses again, who decided to spend all of the money the government gave them last time on stock buybacks that enriched all of the rich people already more.
Yeah.
And so now they're begging so Boeing is begging the government, but the CEO of Boeing apparently said, well, we don't want we want the bailout, but if you're going to take stock if the government is going to take stock in the company, that is, have partial ownership of the company, then we don't want the bailout. And I'm like, good, bye-bye, Boeing. See you later.
Oh my God.
Bye-bye.
Jesus Christ.
Let's not have Boeing and we'll all be better off because they won't build planes that kill people. As a cost-effective saving measure. You know.
Yeah.
And it's just like... So
well,
anyway,
do you want to talk about music?
We could. I mean, we did a little at the beginning.
Yeah.
Anyway, now I just want to emphasize. I just want to emphasize the point that as you've noted before, Dorian, is that the current circumstances are underlining and making it clear to people that our society is built on sand, and there are better ways to live if you are willing to see.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so that's it.
Yeah. So, what do you think this is going to do for your music making, or what do you hypothesize? May come out of this experience.
I don't know. The last time there was a major political event, it basically killed all my creativity. So what
You're
I mean
about the Donald Trump election?
Yeah. So, well, Dorian, I was going around for like the previous year and a half talking about a particular kind of opera that I wanted to make, which was sort of this cross between Nixon in China and Bluebeard's Castle. And it would be me in a kind of Chomskyan character leading a person around a series of doors, a woman, and showing her the crimes of previous presidents. And then the last door with this person would walk through and like, okay, you're the next president. Right. And it would be obviously, the implication was that since Hillary Clinton was going to win, the implication was, okay, you get to be the next war criminal.
Wow.
But Donald Trump won. And I was making silly online videos at the time, and I was getting to be very creative for like a year or two there. It was hard, but as soon as Donald Trump won that election, I mean, I go back and watch the videos. I became kind of unhinged, man. And
oh yeah.
Everybody, a lot of other people did too. But the thing that happened is that I lost all of the things that I thought were funny or silly or weird or crazy. I couldn't think of anything that outdid the real universe.
Yeah.
And so it just was impossible for me to imagine something more creative than the impending quasi-fascism. So, I mean, I literally kind of just shut down, and that's why I ran. Part of the reason I ran for Congress is like I literally couldn't think about anything other than politics.
Yeah.
And that thing just that election fell into my lap in terms of I lived in the district, so I did that, and that killed me on politics for a long time. Mm-hmm. But I learned a lot, and so I don't really know. I mean, that's the thing is like I couldn't have predicted that that's what would have happened at the time. I mean, all I know is now I've got some time and I can return to that educational thing. I mean, I'm supposedly going to get a doctorate in music theory starting in the fall. So, I mean, my plan had been to spend the next 3 years to do kind of like in the books, not really spend much time in the internet kind of world, just kind of like learning and doing things. But I realized in this weird time that we're in this kind of weird liminal space where you really have no fucking idea what's going to happen in 6 months from now.
We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Exactly. So it's just like, so that's the thing is it's hard you can't do long-term planning right now. So, I mean, what I figured out is that since us trying to make this podcast, I knew how to do live streaming, which I didn't know how to do before.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm using the live streaming capability to do weird stuff on Facebook, but it's also just me. I mean, I was analyzing Ives today and yesterday. So I analyzed Ives online on the internet the past couple of days. So it's actually sort of buttressed my interest in being sort of a public educator about music. But whether or not I don't know what I'll be doing. This is the thing is I haven't really written a piece of music to get for other humans to play in a long time, and I don't know how I feel about that. I don't really care because in the end I don't really think of. I've stopped thinking of composing as a specific thing anymore. So
I mean, it's almost like composing is living. Or
living
living is composing.
Right. I mean, because it requires. I mean, I had to make arrangements for me to be able to play some music on the piano the past few days. I mean, I've improvised online in public for reasons beyond my comprehension in the past week. I've gotten a lot better at it in the past few years somehow since we did all that Robert Ashley stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like I actually can. Like before I was sort of half faking it. But I can actually make music now. So, I mean, on the piano of all things. I sit there and I watch, because I make one, and then I sit and listen to it and go, that actually wasn't that bad. I mean, it's like, the flow of the ideas could use something, and what I actually can play, I mean, yeah. But, with my, I could actually sit and do this. I don't feel embarrassed to, put this up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, which is better than most people. I mean, you teach improvisation. You interact with people about improvisation, and you know how much it's like just getting beyond that block.
Oh, yeah, half of it is just going, that thing you questioned? Stop questioning it.
Or, you make a mistake, and then oh, fuck, I have to play that again.
Right. So
that it doesn't sound like one. Yeah. But anyway, here, I'll let you, so why don't you answer that question you asked?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been doing the live stream concerts, which have been a lot of freaking fun. I've also been, we did our live stream improv. People watched it. Not a crazy amount, but
right. Well, we didn't announce it or anything.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we just went live and tried it. The thing that I can't talk. I've actually been getting a lot of reading done during this whole time. There's a book called The Tibetan Book of Living and Dying.
Yeah.
It's not the Tibetan Book of the Dead, but it's a guy who was raised as a Buddhist monk, and dude, there's some fucking crazy shit in this book. Like, I guess the first two deaths he saw were when he was 7 years old. And one of them was sort of an older monk who worked around the monastery, and he got really sick and he died within 2 weeks. And it was a really frightening experience for him because it was, this guy was a very jovial, happy fellow, and, all of a sudden he just had this stern face and just, bit by bit was getting more tired and wasn't interacting, and he was dead 2 weeks. Whereas the second death he saw was one of the Zen masters at the monastery, and he's in this room with this master. Master was sick, and the master looks at him, and there was another woman in the room, and he was like, well, I think I'm ready, and he just died.
Wow.
And it gets a little bit deeper, because he's the monk, the author of this book, said he was like, oh my god, the master's dead. Went to go get the headmaster of the school. Headmaster comes down, and he's like, oh no, he's not dead. He's in a death meditation. He's going to die. And he died in 8 hours, but he went into a meditative state. And the author was saying that was really the eye-opener for him of, the difference between a well-practiced monk versus a true Zen master, Tibetan Zen master. So anyways, it's just a lot of talking about living in the moment. and not in like the new agey hippie bullshit version.
The one that's about bucket lists.
Yeah, yeah, not that one. It's about the like literally center yourself at each moment. Like you will find enlightenment. It's like a sentence where it's like you will find enlightenment if you become aware of every moment or every second of every moment you're alive. So like it's really simple, but it's really fucking hard.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's almost impossible.
Right.
But the key word being almost.
Right. And the other thing, like the thing I like about Buddhism more than basically any other religious thought is you can be an atheist and still dig into Buddhist thinking. Like there was actually, I've heard Buddha described before as almost the first radical atheist or radical secularist. Because he never spoke of any deities. He never that wasn't really what his purpose was. His purpose was about being in reality and accepting nature as it is. Mm-hmm. Some of his conclusions, probably very dated. For a 25,000 or 2,500. Why can't I talk? 2 millennia and 500 years. But like the whole reincarnation thing is kind of ridiculous to really think about as a literal experience. But you can look at it as a philosophical concept where all the things. I mean this aligns with psychotherapy in a lot of ways, where all of the things at past points in your life they do come back, and if you're really working to better yourself. You do strip away. You can either let these things strip away and make yourself a more whole person, or you can let them bury you and you become worse and worse. So I really dig a lot of the Buddhist teachings. But anyways, this actually has been incredibly helpful with improvising. And with music exploration, because it's one of those things like, dude, we're in the middle of a fucking pandemic that we really don't know what the outcome is going to be.
Right.
Like, we really don't know. Like, this could be over in a few months, but it could not be.
Right.
Like, it could get much, much worse. And, just like that improvisation we had on Facebook, like, what if that was the last time we got to play? What if it was the last time we got to play together? What if, why not be in that moment and, like, just experience these awkward things and just, like, enjoy them? And it's like, wow, I'm like with a friend. I'm in my house. Like, I'm with an instrument that I love. Like, my wife is in the room, like, listening to this like chaos, like, and enjoying it. It's being videotaped. There's other people watching. I just dated myself when I said videotaped, but
there you go.
But yeah, it's just, I don't know.
Well, the record player and all,
Yeah. Yeah, the phonograph was
Right.
But I don't know, man. It's just there's a lot of really important inner growth happening. Dude, you know who I talked to on Facebook Messenger today, who I haven't spoken to in years, is Colin DeYoung.
Oh yeah, how's Colin doing?
Dude, he's doing great.
I think I talked to him like a year ago or so. Yeah. No,
it's like he told me about, like, I forgot how much of a writer he is with the way he talks.
Okay.
Because, like, he was telling me some story about getting like assaulted on the train.
Oh God.
But the way he put it, he was like, there were two young lads in the back of the car. Riding a wild emotional roller coaster, and fuck's an emotional roller coaster? And then the next one was, the next sentence was one moment sobbing and the other planning to enact vengeance. It was just like, God damn it, I forgot Colin talks like this.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Well, and I guess the guys started shit talking him, and he was like, and for some reason I started sidestepping with them, and, and it was just the story was, it was dude started to fuck with Colin started to yell back at them. But yeah, I don't know. But it was awesome to hear just his his presence, and we were talking man, it's been too long, but really good to catch up and chat.
Well, that's when I'm years ago, we've mentioned it on the book on the podcast before, the Die Wise Stephen Jenkinson book.
Oh yeah.
When I was I was going through some pretty dark shit. I don't remember why. I was just really down at that time, but I was for just months. And, I was just reading this book about, death. And I really taken from that over the years is that, in the end, now whether or not I actually enact this in any kind of daily sense, probably not, but just getting used to the idea that, you're never really going to know when the last time you'll see someone is.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I necessarily changed my behavior, although I generally am much kinder than I ever have been in the past few years of my life. Is that you just generally have to let it be okay that you're never that the next time may never happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's worth just saying so out loud.
Yeah.
Just we just, yeah. I mean, I had, so I was working at the cookie store.
Right.
When I did that twice. On my last day, people were telling me this, I was interacting oh yeah, well, maybe we'll see, we might see each other doing blah-bitty blue-bitty-blue. And I just looked at the people and I just was this is all well and good, and you're all nice people, and I enjoyed the time we spent together. But the probability that you and I will ever see each other again is so minimal that it's best not to act as if it'll happen. So, and it's the only time I said the only time I said something that wasn't that is the one guy I talked to, and I said, if you ever see me in a public place, feel free to walk up to me. I will gladly shake your hand. And that's all I said.
Wow.
Yeah. But it's just so it's because, it's I wasn't on the internet, these aren't people I friended on Facebook.
Right.
We have, it's we don't talk outside of this job. This is a perfectly fine work, and they're perfectly wonderful people. It's just this wasn't, none of us made the reach out to say we should continue to be friends. Or, we should continue to interact until that sort of last day when people say the nice things to you because you're leaving.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it's not really worth acting as if we're going to build a relationship or something. Right. Right, and it's not being callous, it's just being honest.
Yeah.
And it's better to end a relationship on a kind note than it is to say, oh, well, look forward to seeing you in the future. No, that just doesn't happen. I mean, there are too many people in this world to actually keep track of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And the people you get to see again, great. And the people you don't, okay. Dorian, years ago, I've gotten used to the idea that we'll probably never do Perfect Lives again. I came to that realization 2 years ago.
Mm.
Now, didn't mean I would not plan doing another one.
Mm-hmm.
It just meant that the probability that it would was pretty small.
Yeah.
Until we said, oh yeah, that 90-year thing that we talked about 2 years ago.
Right.
Oh yeah, let's do that. I'm oh great, sure.
Right.
I mean, I was just realizing that I didn't have enough. If I really wanted to do this, I would have put more effort into making sure it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And since I never did that, I apparently don't care enough to do that. But we were going to do it again in today's the 24th. We were supposed to do it 4 days from now. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And I've been following the news. I mean,
Actually, David, quick question. What are you doing Saturday night at 7? No, I'm actually asking.
I have no idea at the moment.
So, the Sing in Solidarity chorus is hosting a Zoom talent show.
Okay.
And they asked me to reach out to any friends who might want to jump on. It's from 7 to 8:30.
Okay.
Yeah. Would that be anything that would interest you?
Sure. Be
Cool.
happy to do something.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly happy to do kind of random crap. But it's just this. It's less important, Dorian, about whether or not we perform Perfect Lives again.
Yeah.
Than being okay with it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes, totally makes sense.
So it's no, I mean, Dorian, I would gladly do Perfect Lives, or I should say it the way Robert Ashley would. Perfect Lives. I would gladly perform Perfect Lives multiple times a year, every year for the rest of my life. I would be a joyful. But it's just not realistic.
Well, and actually, just to bring it full circle, what is one of the major reasons we don't perform it the way we wanted to, or have wanted to? We don't have any money? Yeah, money.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's the reason that Ashley was really only that, many of his operas are the way they are rather than the way he would have wanted them to be.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That was the only one that really did become a television opera. All the rest of his television operas never really became them.
Right.
So, yeah, it's just a fucking A. Yeah, so it's just, and so in the end, it's about being okay with this particular musical experience. Mm-hmm. And it being okay if we do it again, wonderful. If we don't, all right, that's fine. And it's I'm not an oboe player anymore. I haven't played the oboe in a year. I haven't played a professional gig in more than almost 2, I think.
Oh, wow. What was the last gig?
I played a musical.
Oh, that's right. Was it Wicked?
It was in 2018.
Yeah.
No. It was a high school set of performances of The Mystery of Edwin Drood.
Oh.
That was in 2018. Yeah. So I haven't played a gig since then. And I'm grateful. I don't I've played the oboe some since then, here on and off or so, but it's been probably 6 months.
I haven't played a quote unquote wedding gig in 4 or 5 years now. Mm-hmm. But I did play Evan Runyon's wedding, and that was dope as fuck, because he literally was like, hey man, we're just trying to cut costs. Would you be down to come and hang out and drink for free if you play some really, really outlandish noise music while the guests walk around?
To be fair, that's not really a wedding gig.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's that one was totally oh fuck yeah. And also the string quartet that played all the music was all it was Heinel and a whole crew of that people, and they were playing all this hip ass modern music that they'd been wanting to play for a long time. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was just it was one of those things that didn't feel like a burden, and it's we got to hang out with Evan and his family, and we got to hang out with friends. It was super fun. Got to watch some of his relatives get really weirded out by the musical choices, and him really enjoy it.
It's like the thing you did earlier today when you turned on the big sweeping noise whoop that happens in your computer. It's woo!
Yeah,
it's
totally,
totally. There you go. It's when I heard that happen, it's oh, Dorian's comfortable. He's using all the weird effects.
It's like, oh, Whale Dreams 2 came out. That must be...
Yeah, right. That means Dorian feels good.
Yeah.
Right. It's like when you decide that things need to get outlandish enough where you pull out the sound effects from the 1980s, and I know that you're in a good place. Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, dude. Like, I'm talking about the social indicators. It's like, oh, he's comfortable.
Dorian, no, what it really means is that you and I have played music for a long enough span of hours together that I just can know how you're feeling based upon what you do. That's all that means.
Okay.
Dorian, you could probably do the same with me.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Right. Yeah, no, that just called that we have a long enough existing relationship that we can do that.
Yeah, totally.
And hopefully that makes the music we make together better.
Yeah.
But that's the way this kind of stuff works.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Man. Well, we are at that time.
We are.
Yeah. So I don't know, like, we're on the air, I guess, right now. Do we want to try to get this out sooner than later, just because we're up to date?
My plan was to make this tonight and send it to you.
Cool. So, yeah, because we actually have some views on YouTube and some listenership that's happened this week.
So congratulations to the 9 of you.
Yeah, welcome.
Welcome. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But if not, you can listen to. So we'll get this out when. So we'll do the whatever. I won't promise about Dorian. My job is to edit the audio and to put it up. It's his job to like post it and get it ready and send it out.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, if any of you that have found us want to check us out, like, my name's Dorian Wallace. This is David Kulma. Like, we're on social media. We're on the internet. Like, if you're willing to listen to an anarchist new music podcast, hit us the fuck up. Yeah. You're
our kind of fucked up person.
Yeah, you're our kind of normal person. We need more people like this.
Right, there you go.
So, yeah.
There you go. Let's redefine those terms.
Yeah. But all right, man. Good chatting with you. Yeah. And this is Trysteropod.